Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Tactical Baby Gear Podcast. My name is Beav Brody. This is Alex and my squeaky microphone. In this episode, Alex drops a huge bomb on us, and then we talk about a story that's super moving and has us both crying. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Why can't a nose be 12 inches long? Because then it would be a foot. But ching. That was funny.
Yeah. See, I would laugh.
By funny, I mean
if I wasn't so sleep deprived already.
Why are you so tired, Alex? What are you drinking there? That looks like beer.
It is. No.
Is it tea?
No, it's
Oh, that's Jocko.
That's Jocko.
Jocko, go. Thanks, Dakota. Jocko.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a little pick me up.
Yeah.
No, so I had my first kid wake me up because he had to poop in the middle of the night incident. So that was unique.
Yeah, that's like kind of a proud moment.
It will
like he didn't
actually.
shit his pants in bed.
We heard him, and he's like, "I need to go to the bathroom." And I was like, "Well, that's your kid." So I was like, okay. So we've been in that stage. So we got him in the like transitional beds, so they can get in and out. And so from the get go, we've been trying to say like, all right, well, it's time to go to bed. You only get out of your bed for emergencies. And obviously that's a broad term as it relates to a 3.5-year-old, as they get older, you'll start to refine, but I'm trying to teach them the true difference between like an emergency and so I'll elaborate.
My kid faking that they're going to throw up.
Exactly. So it's like, all right, emergency is like you're in pain, your brother's in pain, someone's hurt. These are the reasons you can get out of your bed to come get mommy and daddy. You can also get out of your bed to go to the bathroom, now that we've been potty training and they've kind of got that on lock. So it's kind of like a weird, like, well, he's like, Daddy, is this an emergency? I have to go caca. And I'm like, well, yes. I mean, no, yeah, let's just go, So it's, so anyways, that was an interesting experience that like, I even forget what time that was. But then my kids are like camels. They just love water. And so now their whole thing is waking up at like, they'll wake up at midnight and be like, we used to like put a bottle of water in their bed, but then and we still have a nighttime diaper where we're in that awkward, like we need to night train them on like no diaper, but I want to sleep. So it's kind of a selfish parenting move, but yet I don't know if they're quite there yet. Like they're starting to hold their bladder a pretty long time. So anyways, we're in that awkward stage. But so we used to have a bottle of water in their crib. And now they would like be just peeing right through the diaper too. So it's like, well, I'm already the bed's already wetting because they just wake up in the middle of the night and just chug water apparently. So now that I took it away because I was like, I'm sick and tired of like cleaning, like
this is a problem.
This is almost a
We're
problem.
Not drinking water after a certain time anymore, kids.
No, for real. And so like last night too, it was like midnight. Kid wakes up, I'm thirsty. I want my bottle of water. He's like gets a little anxiety over it. Like we'll go to the tub and I'll fill up just cup of water and give it to him. Then like an hour later, the next kid wakes up. I'm thirsty. What is happening right now? Go back. And then like an hour later, they both wake up. We need water. And it's like,
what are you guys doing?
What are you doing?
Like, is he doing cardio in the crib at night? Like, what's going on?
I'm trying to figure out like, and they chug it. So it's not like, it's probably kind of an excuse to get out of their bed, but it's not like they're not, I mean, they chugged like probably 6 fluid ounces of water. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
You're not like faking it.
My kids will act like they're dying and they need water. Like I'm trying to put them to bed. It's like, wait, but Daddy, I need water. I'm like, so I go get some, I go to the kitchen and get a cup. I fill it up. I only put a little bit in it. And it's like a sip, like, okay. And I'm like, Dad, you all of that for that? Are you kidding me?
No, my kids just drink it.
Yeah, screw that. I also, by the way, first podcast in the new studio.
Yeah, that's right.
If you're watching, you've clearly seen the difference, but if you're listening, we're in our new podcast studio. Construction of our office has finally come almost to an end. The construction's done. Now we're just like moving and organizing and stuff. But
it's like the moving with kids that last 2 years. You're like you just move a box here and then you work and then you move a box here. But like at home with kids, it was like you move and then someone has nap and then move and then don't do that because you're gonna die. And that
yeah.
I feel like we're in that stage now.
Well, because we're like middle of the holidays.
Yeah, busiest time of the year.
Going on, and we're trying to move stuff and organize things. But I made it a priority to get this room done first so we could continue the podcast.
So hopefully y'all like it.
Yeah, got a couple more things to do, but sorry for my brief interruption there. I had to call that out, so because I'm excited about it. But yeah, lack of sleep, kids getting out of bed, drinking water, peeing all night. Let's just put catheters on them.
They
have like catheters that are like condoms for like race car drivers and stuff. It's kind of interesting.
I get it. I get it.
I mean, like sometimes I think
because like, could you imagine?
myself.
It's got to be hot in there with the engine and everything else. You probably be sweating your.
Oh yeah, you create. But like when you do these like 24-hour like endurance races and stuff, and you're in the car for 3 hours straight racing, and you have like you can drink while you're racing. You've got a straw and all stuff, but like you got to pee, and a lot of those guys will just pee in the seat. But you can get like a catheter thing that's like goes over and it's like a tube.
I couldn't. I guess that just comes with the training.
Yeah, I mean, you just learn to piss.
You pee on yourself.
You're like coming in hot to turn one, just taking a leak.
Is that oil leaking out the bag? And it's no, man.
Well, here's what's really even worse than that is those races where there's multiple drivers. So you drive for 3 hours at a time, and you get out, and someone else gets in the car, and they're getting into a piston seat.
Well, I mean, those seats are like.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. But like. I mean, I guess those seats aren't, they're not your like cloth ones in your minivan. So
no, but like
that like so when we were potty training, like you got the car seat, and I'd be like, why does my car smell like urine?
Yeah. There's a lot of like, didn't we talk about that? Like doing some sort of funny thing where it's like guess the smell or something because it's like you're always like. What is that? And then you're like
smell.
picking your kid up and sniffing their butt, and you're doing all these things.
Like things that are only acceptable when you're a parent and it's your child that you're doing. You're like, I'm just sticking my finger down this kid's pants. I'm like, oh, that's poop. Cool. And you're like
sniffing it.
Why would you do that? From like an outsider, you know what I mean? You're like, that's just weird. And then when you have kids, you're like, nah, like I gotta smell his hiney. Like, let's see if it's
so funny. The funniest, that was like those moments for me when I realized like things just got weird. You realize like I'm picking my daughter up and you're just like sniffing their butt up in the air like a dog. You're like just sniffing butts. Funny.
Well, that you're wrestling them when they're trying to, and you're like just trying to get in all the crevices and cracks, and you're just like smearing. I mean, it's like I don't know. They're like some toy or a blanket. You're like, all right, you just smeared crap all over that, so let's get that out because you're about to eat it. Now I got it on my elbow. What is happening? It's just, and then like the Desitin, you know what I mean? You're like, what is that? Is that toothpaste? Is that like what is on my shirt? I literally play that game every morning now. It's like there's always something. On my like right, because I'm right-handed, so I tend to
pick
dominate
the kids up on your right shoulder.
Side, and it's always like what were they eating this morning? Like that is on me. And of course, I won't notice it till like I go out in public. I'm like,
after you walk out of the meeting,
that
at the
kid
bank.
wiped his boogers on me. Okay, cool. Let's do this.
We should start rock and printing like weird stains on the shoulders of our shirts.
Just pre-stain them. Yeah.
Speaking about shirts, I've got one of the new. You're wearing one too.
Yeah.
New shirt, Embrace the Suck in black. We used to have this in green with black. Now we have it black with white as what we and the green.
Yeah.
You've got the TBG shirt on. We've got the multiple Dad Force shirts. We've got that shirt in different colors. There's like 15 new options. So if you haven't checked out the website, make sure you do that. This is my shameless plug commercial in the middle of the podcast, so don't mind me. Also, everything right now, if you're listening to this before Christmas, 15% off on the website with coupon code holiday15.
Yeah.
Anyways, commercial break.
So have you done all the Christmas shopping?
No.
You're one of those like wait till
so
Amazon Prime
bad.
2 days left and then you.
Well, no, I'm just really bad gift giver. I've found out, and like Brandy's like, but I'm so easy to shop for. I just want shiny things and purses. I'm like, yeah, except for every time we go somewhere and we're shopping, walking through a store, you're like, don't you think this one's cute? I'm like, no, that thing's ugly. I'm like, she's like, well, which one do you like? I'm like, well, this one looks cool. This is a nice purse. She's like, ew. And I'm like, see? Yeah. So like, I don't want to go buy her something that I think is nice. And then she's like, I'm not wearing that or whatever.
Now, is she someone that would be like, I appreciate the gesture.
Of course.
Let's go return it and actually get something I use.
She's not like, no, I mean, she's not like that.
That's one thing I finally got to. I was like, I'm real appreciative for what you did, but I'm actually not going to use this.
Yeah. And I told her, like,
not to offend you.
I don't want anything.
I really don't.
You know what I mean? Like, I buy myself enough crap. Like,
the thing is, like, we just did, I just redid the floors in my garage because they were like, I've been working out there in the morning.
Right.
And it's like cracked and divoted, and it was super slick when it was wet. So, kids, so I just redid it. And like, those are the things now that I get more excited about.
Yeah.
It's like, I won't buy anything for like 5 months, and then I'll spend a good bit of money.
Drop it on one big purchase.
But it's like, cool. I got a garage floor, and I'm super pumped about it. It's like, is that a
dad moment?
I was like
standing in the garage, like, yeah,
literally, like I was doing push-ups this morning on it, and I was like, "That's a damn nice floor." I'm like, what is wrong with me? It's like 6 a.m, and I'm like, this garage now. Like, I painted the white kills, everything. So I'm like, I'm getting a little high from the fumes still, like a week later. But this floor is awesome.
That's so funny. I remember when I bought my first house really young. I bought my first house when I was like 18 or 19. And I remember, like, it was my 20th birthday probably. My dad's like, so your birthday's coming up. What do you want? I'm 20 still. So it's still like, kind of a big deal to get some birthday presents stuff. I was like, I want a lawnmower. He's like, wait, what? Because up till then, it was like,
that was such a proud moment internally for him. Like, he's like, oh, you become a man.
It's like all of a sudden,
do some yard work. This weed whacker is sick. You're right? Like, wait, did the words just come out of my mouth? I just dropped $200 on a weed whacker.
Yeah, like, I want a vacuum for my birthday. Dude,
I tell you what, I love a good vacuum. I will overpay for a Dyson.
Yeah.
I tell you what,
they're good.
A funny story on the Dyson though, like no kickback from Dyson, but if you're listening, you can send me some. No, like, they make that claim, like, doesn't lose suction or whatever else. Some like competitors like sued them over that claim, and sure as shit, he proved it in court that it doesn't lose suction.
Way.
Oh yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, I was like, damn, all right.
Jeez.
But anyways,
yeah, we've got Dysons all. I mean, between me and you, we've got like 3 of them in the office.
Yeah, they are a fortune.
They're great though.
Thankfully,
especially
get them on discount and everything
excellent.
else. But when you got like I don't have dogs, but still, you know what I mean.
I wear mine out.
But that's just it. You get it super bummed. Like, don't buy me anything else. Like, don't spend $20 here and $50 there. Let's save it up, and then I'm gonna spend a few $100s on a damn vacuum and be super pumped about it.
That's right. We're getting so old.
For real.
My sweet garage floor. My vacuum.
I'm gonna put a vacuum out inside my garage thing.
Oh,
no, that's where you get the good blower, man.
Dude, I love a good blower too. See, my house, you get some leaves, but probably my
right now I do, but you got a lot more.
Is covered with leaves 15 minutes after it's blown off, and it
mine all right now, but most of the time.
And because I live on that dirt road, all of the dirt comes from Brandy's tires into the garage. That stresses me out too. So I'm like, I get home from work almost every night before I even walk in the house. I grab my little battery blower and I blow out the garage, and like the first 15 feet of my driveway.
Got me that like 80 volt like Lowe's Cobalt. I think is that the brand? Yeah, something like that. Thing. That thing has actually got a good bit of. It's hilarious because my kids love blowing, so I'm like, perfect. I'm training my tribe here to like do all my landscaping. So I'll be like out there directing. And then I'm going to have all these workers like built in free labor. So it's going to be fantastic.
I grew up doing
but the kids will grab it and it's like, blow them over. I think that actually got some kick.
I've got the
craft. It lasts a decent, but I like the fact that like, you don't have to worry about gas, especially with the kids and the smell and then like spark plug this and all the stuff that that I don't know. So
I got a big backpack blower too. Cause when I like blow the rest of the yard, cause I've got a huge yard. Yeah. Like that was one of the first things I bought when I moved into the new house here. Because I was like, that's a lot of yard.
Budget for it.
And
like,
a lot
of leaves. Budgeting for? I'm budgeting for a grill. I'm budgeting for a blower. Christmas, I'm getting a weed whacker.
And a vacuum.
And then a vacuum. Father's Day, can I get a vacuum? Like, hold off on the tie. I want a vacuum.
Right?
Thankfully, we don't have to wear ties.
Yeah.
At the office here.
I should start doing that.
I just feel like there's a tiny like I feel like it's one of my kids like on my back, like strangling me when I wear like a suit and tie. I don't mind trying to look good, but damn, it's just restricting.
I can't remember. I like dressing up. I usually, clearly I'm not the one to like dress up. I'm usually like t-shirt everywhere, but I like dressing up. I like getting cleaned up.
I don't mind it for like a good wedding or something, but like if I had to do that daily, no.
I'm not into that.
Nah. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
you got some big things happening in your life, Alex. You want to talk about it?
Maybe. The suspense is killing me. There's been some recent developments.
Breaking news. This just in.
Breaking news.
I'm sorry, what's that?
Yeah, so some of y'all listening might be trying to do some preventative measures to not have children. Things like, condoms and birth control and IUDs. Apparently IUDs are super effective for most of the population. Like super, super effective, especially if after the female has one and then they go do the checkup to make sure it was inserted properly and the doctor's like, this thing's primo, and you get the like best of the best of the best. Well, apparently we defied all odds, and there's a reason it's not 100% or 99.99. It's only 99.7% effective, because in June, Emily and I are having a fourth child, which will mean we'll have 4 kids under 5. They'll actually be more like 4.5. So, yeah, dude, take that news in, people.
Yeah, no, congrats on that, though. It's
Thank
exciting.
We
have so much more content we can make now.
Well, that was right. I just figured it'd be a good tax
I'm
deduction.
glad it was you, because my Brandy was trying to convince me to have a third, and I was like, hell no. So I put that voodoo on you.
You did, and it worked. It worked. Apparently, I might be misquoting this a little bit, but some number I thought I heard the wife say or a doctor say it was like 1 in 20,000.
Yeah.
And then I bought a lottery ticket, and it's BS. I didn't win anything.
Yeah. Well, you have, I don't know. You've beat the odds in a lot of ways between the twin situation.
So that's just it, right? So we had twins who were identical with like 2 different sacs, and like the way I forget the name now of it, but like the way that the twins developed in there is kind of like a very safe yet less common way. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's someone listening
there's
terminology that I'm completely just forgetting. And so then, let's see, it was about like a year later, wife and I went on vacation, but nothing changed from what had happened, prior to having kids. As far as preventative measures, we were doing everything that we had normally done. And sure enough, third one came around. So it's like, okay, like here's almost like a vacation. Here's like a miracle. Another, like I used the phrase miracle baby obviously loosely here in the sense that everything was healthy, but it was just more like we're doing everything we can. But it was like, what is happening? Like at the time, my twins were they 2?
Not even. Yeah, they were probably about
they
2.
They were like 2. So like when Anders was born, my third, it was 3 under 3. It's like yeah. So it was just kind of like, holy smokes, like we're, just trying to still figure out parenting, figure out 2 of them. She just finished like nursing, and now she was able to nurse for a year with the twins. And I was like, got pregnant again. I was like,
was the funniest
what is happening? So it was like, I kid around. I was like, here's my miracle child, because like we weren't planning on a third one. She was like, do you want a third? And I was like, I don't.
You don't want it.
Like, I don't necessarily, I'm not going to say no. Like, whereas I'm going to go get like snipped or something, but I'm like, I'm still just trying to digest the fact that like I have 2 little people in my house.
Right.
And we were starting to add to a baby gear, and it was, the whole,
it was chaos.
How we, how am I putting food on the table for my family? So third one comes around, and then, so it's like, all right, like, nope, like we need to make sure there is some like very, very permanent, but not long-term
this
permanent.
Is a reversible, like
exactly. So I was like, all right. Well, she was like, well, let me try an IUD if it bothers me.
What does IUD stand for? Do you know?
Oh god, it's something like
Let's look it up.
Yeah,
I'm kind of
curious. I don't want to butcher that. Which you're just being in the kind of like the industry, and we talk to a lot of people in the military. Like for the longest time, I'd be like, in this IED, I'm like, no. I'd say that, and they're like the wife would be like, I think you're mixing this up. I was like, yes, that is not what has been inserted.
All right. I can't even pronounce that. Intrauterine device. It's highlighted in blue right there.
Yep. Intrauterine device. There's a reason why.
Yes.
The females deal with it.
Because I feel like my third.
Get a vasectomy. I can say that word.
I feel like Kendall, who's trying to read right now, and she's like trying to sound out like 4-letter words, and she's like, what is that? It's like dog. And I'm like, well, so let's sound it out. D. You know, she's like, duh, duh. And I'm like, oh, what does O sound like? She's like, oh, 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 oh. And then she's like, I'm like, G. What does G sound like? G, g, g. She's like, duh, duh, oh, oh, g, g. And I'm like, okay, I'll say that a little faster, you know? So it's like, I'm trying to read this ridiculous long word. And I'm like,
the thing is, it's not even that long. It's just, I'm horrible when it comes, I'm horrible when it comes to,
I can't read anything. I can't even write.
You don't write good?
I'm the worst.
I thankfully have had some really good training from the wife who is very talented in that regards.
I communicate with emojis. Thank God for emojis. So
did I send you an emoji with like 4 baby heads? And I was like, hey. So actually, that's right. That's what happened.
You want to talk about that?
Okay, so it was actually a very scary.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Pregnant,
that is kind of crazy.
Like this fourth one, we had some scary moments here.
So scares.
It was literally like, I think the day that she got pregnant, literally it was the next day. She was like, "I'm pregnant."
Well, this is in New York.
Well, yeah, literally we were in New York for the Gary V podcast, and she messaged me. She's like, I think I'm pregnant. I was like, well, that's impossible.
She
that's
said
not
she felt funny or something.
Yeah, like 2 days before I left, she was like, I feel something feels off. I'm like, I don't know. Did you eat something weird? Are you sick with kids? Like, you know, this is October, so it's like maybe there's the first round of bugs. Kids are back in school. So then we're up in New York doing that interview podcast.
I remember.
And she's like, yeah, she's like, well, I think I'm pregnant. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, that's impossible. It only points to that. I'm like, well, you're crazy. It's like, thanks for dropping that news. Like, tomorrow I'm going to meet and have an interview where
with Gary.
Gary. Like, now I'm thinking about you're pregnant. So like, just hold off. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
And so she's like, no, I am. Like, I'm going to go to the doctor. Like, they're like, well, so you haven't even missed a period yet. Like, usually, like, you know, pregnancy tests don't really
show up until
after you missed your first period, because there's not enough levels of the
whatever.
I want to say like THC or something, but I think we're talking about marijuana there. HGC, HG, anyways.
Something I don't know enough about that
exactly.
I probably should.
And so she did the test, just why not? And obviously nothing showed up. So she's like, I'm going to go to the doctor and get a blood test. So she goes into the doctor.
Convinced.
She was like, this is what's happening. So she went to the doctor, and the doctor's like kind of like laughed at her. It's like, you know, it's like, well, I know my body. You don't know me, literally, because it was a new doctor, because the other doctor was out that day. It's like, you're going to do this because I'm the patient. Like, I know what's happening in my body, so do this. And the guy's like, well, fine. Sure enough, came back with enough levels. He's like, oh, well, you might be pregnant. And he's like, come back next week. Let's do it again. Let's see if the levels go up. So she went back and the levels went up. And like, well, yeah, you are. Like, you're stupid early on this. Like, you're fine. Like, you're confirming this like seemingly almost like weeks before most people would even sense that they might be pregnant. So it's like, okay, so like, wow, let's process this for a minute. So apparently you're pregnant. What does that mean for our life? Fast forward.
We're in Utah.
So no. So at that time, though, she still had the IUD in. So the first doctor we went to was like, I don't feel comfortable removing it. But like the IUD that she has is actually used in like emergency contraception.
So let's explain, if they don't know what an IUD is. This thing like goes into
the female's uterus. The one she had was a copper one, and apparently the copper like kills off sperm or whatever.
However, what kind of magic it does.
Yeah, it does some voodoo magic in there, and just, the eggs still flow in, but basically makes the uterus of an unsuitable like habitat for
growing a child,
basically, for the egg fertilizing. So, the first doctor was like, I don't feel comfortable removing it, because what can happen is like the egg can sometimes attach to it, so you might have a fertilized egg attached to it. So obviously, if you pull that out, you're pulling out the fertilized egg. Or like you could like, again, dislodge it from like the side, the wall, wherever it attached in the uterus, and then so like, because it needs to attach somewhere to grow. So he was like, no. And so we thankfully, like, my mother-in-law is in labor and delivery, so she reached out to all her friends and other doctor colleagues and was like, let's get some other opinions here. And the other doctor's like, no, like, you got to get this out. Like, just like in both, there's certainly a risk involved, but obviously the first decision was hers, and then she asked for my opinion, and I was in support too of like, I want this out. Like, I don't want this child, if it's going to be viable here, to be in this environment. Like, let's just remove it. So they removed it, and of course the doctor's just in awe of like, oh, that was perfectly in there. You shouldn't have been pregnant. Here we are. I'm like, well, too late now. So they removed that. The doctor felt really comfortable. Everything was removed, and so
They
it was
do another
like, okay.
ultrasound, and
So then it was like, all right, so like let's give it a week, because it's just, we're talking, like
things,
things like a mustard seed, you know what I mean? We're talking tiny, and it's really hard to see on an ultrasound. And so where we lived, there's in like the bigger cities, bigger hospitals, they tend to have even just more advanced equipment. So they did this first ultrasound, and they were like, and we're in Utah. So actually we're out in Utah at this point.
This is crazy.
And we're doing all these podcasts with like the Wife Spot and Jordan, and Relentless Mama, and Betsy, and all from Betty's and everything else. So we're out there, we're doing a full week of work, and it's Thursday, and we're leaving on Friday because Thursday is when we're doing the podcast with Wife Spot. And so I get this call right as we're sitting down for lunch. She had just gone to the ultrasound. Now, mind you, no one else knew besides her and I and my in-laws, or my mother-in-law. And she calls me, and she's just freaking out, and rightfully so. And I'm like, well, explain to me, like, what is happening right now? She's like, they just did the ultrasound, and they think the egg might not have actually gotten completely out of the fallopian tube, which it's I think that's called a corneal pregnancy, or no, epitomic pregnancy.
Here we go with the big words.
Big words again. Sorry, people. Google it. No, I think it was like a epitomic pregnancy is when the egg doesn't come out of the fallopian tube, and then a corneal pregnancy is like a more rare version of that.
Okay.
I believe. So if I'm kind of misquoting some of this, I apologize. But the long and skinny of it is basically, if that's the case, it's most of the time like not a viable pregnancy. And if they don't go in and remove it, basically the baby will grow, therefore like rupturing her fallopian tube, which will cause her to bleed out. So the baby will obviously not be viable any longer, and then it could kill my wife.
Emily, yeah.
So she gets that news when I'm out of town, where we're all just still trying to process the fact that
we had just ordered breakfast.
Yeah, we had just, like I hadn't eaten anything. And of course it's like, because it's the time change too, it's like, I think it was like 11 o'clock, but for us it's breakfast. So I'm like, okay, I'm like, explain this to me again in slower, less, big words. I'm sitting outside. Everyone else is inside. The whole team's inside waiting to get our breakfast. And I'm like, all right, so you're telling me that like we just went from having we're probably gonna have a fourth kid to you telling me now the doctor's saying it's not viable, and if we don't get this removed, you could die. Okay, I'm gonna get on a plane. So literally within 2 hours from getting that phone call, I'm on a plane headed home from Salt Lake City.
Everyone's like, Travis, everybody's in the restaurant. I'm like, hey, I'll be right back. I got to take Alex back.
And so, and at this time, we're still like, based on the news, still trying to process. So I just, we're just kind of keeping it internal at this point. So that's how I dropped the news to you. So
right.
Beav was there for Anders, the third one, which was again the kind of surprise baby. So literally Beav and I are at my kitchen table, because I don't even think we had truly like office spaces and everything else.
I don't remember.
We had the shop on the island, but we were having kind of like a meeting at my house. And the wife's upstairs, and she just starts hollering down. So it's like, you need to come up here,
Alex, come here.
And I'm like, I'm having a meeting. Like it's during work hours. Like just if it's not an emergency, you can get out of bed. If it's an emergency, go to the bathroom by yourself. You don't need my assistance. and Beav, you were like, no,
I think she needs you.
I think she actually needs you to come up there. So I was like, all right, fine. Let me walk up there. And she's like, literally just gotten out of the shower. She's like in her towel, and she's holding up a pregnancy test, and it's got the 2 lines. And I'm like, are you
this right now? Fall down the stairs?
And so I'm like, okay. I got to go back downstairs and finish this meeting with Beav, but we're going to have to talk about this. So I go downstairs, and I'm like, I think I said, how good are you at keeping a secret?
Yeah.
And you're like, I'm pretty good. And I was like, So I'm having a third child.
I was like, what?
We're like apparently like 3 or 4 weeks into this. My kids are 2. I don't know how I'm gonna handle this. We just started tactical baby gear, like literally, like on like a full tilt, like full time endeavor for both of us. So anyway, so here I am walking outside some sandwich shop in Salt Lake City, and I'm like, Beav, you know that funny joke that you overheard in New York City where Emily was like, I'm pregnant, and I said, that's impossible. And then I got off the phone and I told the whole gang that
like my wife's pregnant.
My wife's claiming that she's pregnant, but
it's impossible.
That's impossible. Well, we're having a 4th child. We've known for like a few weeks,
and I have to go home.
And apparently, she's telling me it's not viable, and if she doesn't get this removed, it could rupture. Come to find out that apparently you have a little bit of a window, because it's still so small. It's once it starts getting in the rapid stage, but it wasn't like it wasn't imminent. But yet, here I am halfway across the country, more than halfway across the country, like she's by herself. So we get home, we go up to MUSC. Get one of the fancy smancy like ultrasounds, and that ultrasound, because it was like I think like a week later, because they wanted to give it a little bit more time to grow. Doctor comes in, they're like, nope, everything looks good, you're having a 4th child. So apparently like the placement of it is a little off center, like not ideal, but not very in the safe zone. But just like from the other ultrasound, like you couldn't tell with like the muscle and stuff that was in it, like where exactly it was. And so it was like, I think it was God's way of kind of like, so I'm, if for those that don't know me, like I love being in control.
He's very,
I don't want to necessarily call myself a control freak. I'll let you
I'll tell you for you.
But like, I like to control things. So, and I got a really strong faith here. And I was like, I think this is God's way of telling me, like, because I'm trying to control the way my kids are while letting them be kids, not overprotective.
Amongst controlling everything
hovering,
else.
Not a helicopter parent or anything else. Like I let them fall down, but like just listen to me. But you're 3.5. So I literally think it's like his way of being like, look, you're just not in control. Like do the right things, but like there's bigger plans that you don't have control over. And so I think it was his way of kind of being like, hey, here's a danger zone. Oh, wait, you're just having the 4th kid. And it's like, now I'm like, cool, 4th kid. I can handle 4th kid. I can't handle losing, a baby as well as my wife. Like, so bring on number 4. You know what I mean? Like that's the win after this reality check. And subsequently we've had, she's had several more ultrasounds. And every time it seems to be even, like better looks safer and safer and safer. A good healthy growth rate, good healthy heartbeat. But so I think the due date is June 12th. What's interesting though is, come to find out, with a C-section, obviously we'll do it a week in advance. And so my mother-in-law came out and said, well, actually, I've been praying for Emily to have a daughter. I'm like, wait, so this is your fault. Wait, this is your fault.
Yeah.
I was like, so you retiring and paying for this one, right?
She was telling me this Halloween. We were out in the street in front of your house. Yeah. She's out there. She's like, I got to tell you something. And I'm like, what? Because Nancy loves to talk. Your in-laws are the best.
They are.
And she's like, all right, so I've been praying for this. And I'm like, it's your fault.
Oh, gosh. So she's telling me this, that like, I was praying. I didn't want to tell Emily at the time, but I've been praying that Emily would have a daughter. I mean, you got 3 boys. Like, I love that.
Have tons of boys in the family.
Yeah, like, I mean, my brother's got 2 boys too.
Yeah. And so there's Reese and
Catherine.
Girls. The only 2 girls?
And
then you've got a sister, but like within the grandkids spectrum, like they're the only girls, right? Mm-hmm. It's crazy. So many boys. I just want a boy. What the hell do I got to do?
You got to have a 3rd child. That's what you got to do.
Well, I don't know. If I could guarantee it, like, is there something special I need to be doing to get this boy? I think you're going to have a girl this time.
We'll see.
Because
the good news
there's so many weird things happening. And like, didn't she say that she feels different?
She does, but so my take on it is... I'm
placing bets right now. We should take
my take on it is if it's a girl, it's awesome in the standpoint of like, I'd love to have there's things that you through a lifetime that you get to experience with a daughter that I'm not going to experience with boys. It's also like my wife has a wonderful relationship with her mom. I'd love for my wife to have that relationship
with the daughter. Yeah.
With the daughter. But if it's a boy, the twins are older. They're the built-in buddy system right there. My youngest would have would have a buddy too. So it's a win. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a win-win in my mind. Obviously,
hey, look at it any way you want, because that's
I mean, at the end of the day, everyone just wants someone,
of course,
maybe that's healthy. But thankfully, I'm not because we're keeping it a complete secret. So when I found out I was having it's like, yeah, it's not a secret because I'm telling the world on a podcast. But
the gender will
be not revealed until the little Da Vinci child gets pulled out. I don't know if you've ever experienced a C-section, but it's like, no.
I can't even imagine.
So we're going to keep that a secret.
Natural birth is freaky too.
So either way, and so we're going to keep it as because with the twins, it was like this is too much to handle. I just need to know. And then on the third one, we were like, I got to know because I got 2-year-olds. Like, this is just crazy.
I need to be in control. Like
exactly. Now I'm just like, all right, just be healthy. That's all I care about. So
it'll be fun to find out.
Yeah. So back to the mother-in-law though. So the June 20th is the due date, I believe. And so she's, she comes out and is like, well, I've been praying for number 4, so you're welcome. I'm like, cool. Again, are you going to pay for this one or what's happening here? But what's interesting is apparently she was having dreams with her mother. She was talking to her mom in dreams. And especially once we found out like she was pregnant and that we were having all these potential complications. And apparently her mother told her, she's like, don't worry. It's good. It's a healthy baby. Everything's going to be fine. She's going to have a healthy baby girl. But what's really interesting is if you take the C-section date back from the due date, it's actually her grandmother's birthday. It's kind of weird.
It's crazy.
Coincidences and everything else. Take what you will. But I'm kind of going, all right. So you were praying for one, and now it's gonna this child's gonna be born on supposedly.
The due date
on the due date, and then the C-section date. So assuming no complications, it will be her grandmother's birthday.
It's so crazy.
So here we are trying to process number 4. We're going to keep it a secret because I can't be the gender because I just realized I've lost total control of my life. Trying to figure out where to put this child.
Fun. Girls are. I hope it's a girl for you because 4 boys is just like you could almost start a whole sports team at that point.
For real. But, I got like a basketball team, except for the fact that they got my gene height, and we are not set up to be basketball players here.
But girls are fun. Girls are fun. As much as I say I wish I had a boy, I love my girls to death. And it's fun to be a father figure to a girl and really show them what it is, to what's the word I'm looking for? Big. I don't do well with big words apparently, but show them, what a good man looks like. Try to be the role model of someone you want them to marry one day and things like that. So there's that side of it. That's you try to show them the right way and that sort of thing. But
and be independent, but
yeah. And I love to teach them boy stuff because a lot of girls don't get the opportunity to learn skills a lot of times. So when there's a girl that can do boy stuff, it just makes them way more badass. My girls will be working on cars and shooting guns and doing guy stuff, but no doubt.
Well, stereotypical guy stuff, you know what I mean? Just because again, that's what everything kind of falls in. It's you walk through a Walmart or a Target and you're just the kind of stereotyping on what is expected for each gender is kind of interesting to me.
It is.
It's been an interesting kind of thought process too, because my the one kid just they started reaching out and playing with stuffed animals now, and calling them the babies and stuff. Even though I don't think they actually know that there's another one coming around, but they see us take care of Andrew. He still has diapers, so they're putting diapers on. It's they're playing with dolls.
A lot of stuff, yeah.
And it's stereotypically, it's oh, they shouldn't, they're a man. You don't play with dolls. It's
go play
outside.
Imagination.
Imagination. It's a very healthy development.
Yeah.
They'll move on with their life. It's some of these parents just need to calm down. If your kid wants to play with a pink doll, just let them play with the pink doll.
Yeah.
For the love.
Yeah, it's not that serious.
Yeah, take your bias and your stereotypes and live in your own little world.
Yeah, for sure. And that's back to teaching my girls stuff that they wouldn't and again it's very stereotypical, but most girls have struggle with or don't get the opportunity for or whatever. So, it's like, if they had to change their own tire on the side of the road, like they're not waiting for some dude to save them. Like they can be independent. They can be, on their own and deal with those problems. So that's something I definitely want to teach them because I have the capability of teaching them those things. But then there's a lot of dudes who can't do that either. So, there's just like, I want to teach them life skills, you know what I mean? Like practical life skills. Like, I'm glad you're good at math and you can read and all these things, but like, what happens when you're stranded on the side of the road or what this or whatever?
Or, a stranger comes up to you. How do you deal with just, life, the uncertainties
street smarts, you know what I mean? Just
exactly.
like that kind of stuff that you don't teach in school. You're not learning that in
school.
That's
that's a whole nother, like this whole dynamics is shifting too with obviously number 4. Like, so where we live, like my parents live here, her parents live here, like my brother's here, her 2 brothers are here. Like I got a lot of family where we live, which is obviously extremely helpful if you have good, if you're able to tap into that, which we are. But it's like from like the schooling side of it now too, it's like, my kids are bilingual. And so I want to encourage that as they get into school, but there's very limited options where we live for like kind of immersion programs and everything else to kind of continue to foster when they're in the school, like Spanish and for us. So it's like how do you all these school and everything else is all about like I'm teaching them to pass a test, but these jokers don't know how to so they can do like long division at age 4. But they can't kick a soccer ball. Like, so they're uncoordinated as heck. They have no relationship. They don't know how to make friends because they're at age 4, they're stuck on an iPad in kindergarten or 5, whatever age you could be. You know what I mean? It's like that kind of stuff that I'm just struggling with. It's like, I don't want to homeschool. Not that there's anything wrong with homeschooling, but like,
I want to homeschool. I wish I could. Well, I think that's like the weird control side of me because there's things like you'll start to see this too. And I've talked about this in the past. The stuff they learn in school that you don't want them to learn in school because there's older kids in school exposing them to things before they should be exposed to them.
True.
I am not all about that. It pisses me off. But it's something you're like, you just realize like they're going to be exposed to it at some point. But there's things that it's just too, or they're not ready for that or processing that. Oh my God, I have to talk about something else that happened. But the other skills, like I look at this table, like when I get something like this, we have to put it together. Like my kids want to help put it together. They're learning how to use screwdrivers and Allen wrenches, and they understand
and
all
that's
the
what these kids should be exposed to and learning, and they don't need to be. They don't need to be like just sitting in a room for 7-8 hours just being lectured to when they're like
too
6.
Too safe of an environment doesn't allow for the growth of
there's no
of those other
there's
things.
no so as it relates to like language, for example, and I only know this because the wife was taught Spanish in universities and everything else, so she kind of reads up on this stuff. But it's like a lot of problems been, at least from like a language development, is like the teachers go around now and like assign projects, right? So they're doing some project in class, and it's like, whereas before it was about like, well, oh, what are you drawing? Oh, and so it's like, oh, that's your daddy? Like, oh, what does your daddy do? And like, so then they have to talk through what they're doing. Now it's like, oh, that's a dad. Okay, well, it needs to be 6'2" and 200 pounds and draw it blue, and then you move on to the next kid. So the kid, like, there's none of those like spontaneous conversations that allow for like development of conversational skills, because it's like, I don't have time to talk to you this because we have to move on to the next. Like, so it's just stuff like that that just irks me. And so like having another kid now, it's like, oh crap, where are we gonna do the education thing and mix with just all the questions come up.
Yep. All right. So the thing I just said, there's something else I need to talk about because I talked about processing things. This past weekend, we had our local community Christmas parade, and some of you may have seen this story I posted on Instagram talking about this situation. But at the end of the parade, a kid jumped out of the back of the end of the parade ends at a school parking lot. And that's where the parents go. They pick the kids up, getting off floats and things like that. Well, this kid gets off this float and gets run over, gets hit. I still don't know the full story. I don't know if he got run over by the trailer or if he got hit by another car.
It's my understanding that he was on like the front of the float and it kind of jerked forward. He fell off the front of it.
And then and it was like
a 3-axle truck or something. Yeah.
It's devastating. Anyways, the kid gets rushed to the hospital and dies. And it's the saddest thing in the world because, like, there's a lot of kids that saw it happen. They were traumatized. The school handled it very well. So here's the other side of it. All the emergency vehicles that were trying to get to him afterwards, like, there's tons of traffic. All the parents are trying to come pick up their kids. And, you know, we're in this super cool little community, and, like, everyone's on golf carts, and Brandy was on our golf cart going to pick up Cameron from the same place because that, you know, where it ends. And fire trucks and ambulances are trying to get to the school, but everyone thinks they're part of the parade because it, you know, so it's like they're having a hard time even getting through. And then you got cops and they're like, get out of the way. Like, and everyone's like, oh shit, this is actually an emergency. Like, they're trying to come through. This isn't just the parade coming through. Yeah. So anyways, they rush this kid to the hospital and he ends up dying from these injuries. But, like, man, it's so sad. And, like, you know, it's like supposed to be just like this great fun thing, and it's the parade and everyone's celebrating Christmas and all this stuff. And this poor kid gets killed. And he ended up being the cousin of one of Cameron's classmates. And he went to school with one of Cameron's friends. And, like, so it's like kind of close to, like, we know people that are in class with him and, you know, family of him. And Brandy was just on a chaperoned a field trip with his aunt, who I think is like the mother figure for this child. I'm not sure what the situation is there, but they seem very close. And anyways, just sad. And then you start realizing, like, shit, that could have been my kid. You know what I mean? Like, that could happen to anybody. Mm-hmm. And the fact that it was just, like, in the school parking lot, it wasn't like on the road or even in the parade necessarily. It just happened. Like, it's so scary. It freaks me out. So if you saw that story, like, I started to process that as I was talking about it in that story, and I started tearing up, and, you know, like, really starts to hit home and get close, and you're like, shit, that could have been my kid. Mm-hmm. Either
way. I mean, your kid was in the parade.
In the parade, walking the parade, right behind a trailer full of kids, like, doing cartwheels. She could have fallen, and the truck behind her run over. Like, it can happen. It's just scary. So, you know, it's like the kids then trying to process that, and, like, she had a hard time sleeping. Like, you guys have heard my stories in the last couple episodes of the podcast of, like, the struggles I'm having trying to get Cameron to sleep. But, like, that was the thing she latched onto that night. If she couldn't stop thinking about the boy and all the stuff, which I couldn't discount. I couldn't be like, get over it, you know. Like, they just saw this stuff happen. This kid that died, you know, and it's like,
how do you process that?
Yeah, it's
well,
tough.
Even as an adult, I think it tends to be a lot easier to remove yourself from situations that happen, you know, elsewhere, right? So you hear about a shooting in a you know, a different town, or some terrorist act in Paris or London, and you're just, you know, you're moved by it. Clearly, just if you have a soul, there's humans that have lost life just for no other reason than someone wanted to just murder them,
do harm,
you know. And so it's just like, but I think your brains tend to be set up in such a way that you kind of can separate yourself, or else it'd be hard to just function on a daily basis, because there's so much good and there's so much bad that just happens on a daily basis. But it's like when you start, and you know, you hear about, you know, like a shooting with other kids and it's a little bit far removed. I'm using shooting as an example. It's like your heart sinks for it, but it doesn't, you know, like. But there's still a little bit of that separation
because it's in another town,
you know. Yeah. And then, like, people we were with was, like, right in front of the float, picking up their kid. You know, when at the parade, they left to go get them and, like, texted us, and you'd be like, "You can't believe what I just witnessed," kind of thing. And you're just sitting there, and you, like, for whatever reason, at those moments as a parent, when your heart just sinks like that, because you know that it's a freak accident, and it could have been my child. And all you want to do as a parent is protect them.
Right. It's crazy.
It's like, how do you prepare for that? You know what I mean? If
unfortunately,
you know,
that
like,
one's out of control.
You know what I mean? It's one of those situations where you're like, well, like, as a chaperone or something, like, you know, I turn around all the time, and the next thing you know, my kid's on top of some counter and everything else, and you're like,
the people in charge of that float or that thing or the person that was driving, like, this will haunt them for the rest of their lives.
And yeah.
I can't imagine. Like
for everyone, there's so much pain all around that it's just hard to comprehend and process. Just because, again, it just makes you go, like, you know, like, I'm always on high alert, and I'm in my garage. You know what I mean? And it's like, I mean, like, talk about being in control. Like, I mean, I'm trying to kind of just calm down just so like I don't,
Yeah, and
just
you
have
can't
gray hairs
control
out the
that.
wazoo just on everything. You know what I mean? And there's certain things you just can't control, but you're just like,
And some might try to control that by just not letting their kids participate in certain things, which it's such a freak thing. It's not like this happens at every parade or whatever. And it's like, it's unfortunate, but you can't like not let your kids do certain things because that could kill them.
well,
Or,
it was
someone's
taking that on.
died doing that before. Don't let them do it. You can't like remove them from everything and like keep them in a bubble because that's not healthy. But
it's certainly a struggle from a parenting side of balancing again at the right age, and then even at the right age, are they going to make the right decisions? And then are other people like, someone else, some adult who's doing some activity, going to make the right decisions?
Mm-hmm. It's tough, man.
It's
really
tough,
hard.
and obviously, I don't have to explain that to my kids yet. Trying to explain.
We didn't really explain it to Kendall. She's still too young to, I think, really comprehend and understand, even though she's like obsessed with death and super morbid and the dogs and my grandmother and like all that stuff. But like, she's not ready to know that someone from school died. Someone died from their school last year, Christmas break. I don't remember exactly what the situation was, but another student died from the school. It's crazy.
So how did you handle it with Cameron?
Cameron knew it happened. She was there, all this stuff. I don't think she actually witnessed it happen, but she knew it was going on at the time and then found out he died, and the school handled it in a good way. I didn't hear Brandy was like, I'm really happy about the way the school handled it. Apparently, like the teachers, like I think they coached the teachers on like what to say or how to deal with it, and then they dealt with it within the class. But like one of the kids in the class, it was his cousin. So one of the Cameron's classmates. So I think their class was probably a little closer to it than some of the other classes in the school, obviously. But I didn't bring it back up to her. Like Brandy said that she talked to her about it and she was like, just seemed okay about it. But I didn't bring it back up necessarily because she'll latch on to it and it'll cause her to not sleep well. And like, I don't want to remind her about it and bring it back up. So I just kind of let it fade off. Unfortunately, I feel so guilty for like not asking about it, but at the same time, like I don't want to stir it back up either. So,
yeah,
but it puts so much in perspective.
There's just no good
of like when you get upset about something really stupid, they're not listening or they're jumping on the couch and you don't want them to, and you get all pissed off and hot and bothered and frustrated. And I told you not to do that. Then you realize that they could have just died at the parade an hour ago. Yeah. And like it changes your perspective on things of like what the things that really piss you off aren't that big of a deal. Like,
well, it's like, what, I should keep my cool. I need to discipline them or put them in line or whatever the case may be. But you're right. It's just,
and then it gives me like every morning, I always give my kids a hug and a kiss and I tell them I love them. But like after something like that happens, you over index on that because you're like, something might happen at school today. This might be the last time. It could be.
Well, that's, I've approached that in not like not such a, like, I don't think I've approached that in kind of like this is the end or kind of a morbid way, but I even approach that as it relates to the marriage. It's like every night, if there's something kind of unsaid, or if there's something we're disagreeing on, everything else, like especially if I'm being stubborn and I'm like, she's now proven that she was right, which she isn't most of the time, unfortunately. And I'm like just gun ho during the day. We're like that's BS, like right. I'm right, and then it's like, so I'm just being stubborn to not just finally be the bigger. Well, own up is a better way of saying it. To like,
but you were right. Disagreement to bed.
But it's like bed. To me, it was like there was one thing my grandfather told me. He was like, never go to bed leaving things unsaid or unsettled.
Right.
And so it was like, all right, you know what? We've been having a disagreement. I'm sorry.
You were right.
You were right. But not just always like you're right, I'm wrong, but just like because again, like
start with a clean slate.
You always want to start with the clean slate. Just and again, not because like you never know, but there's just much more important things in life. So if you have a disagreement, that's fine, but you gotta. If you want that long-term happiness, if you want that long-term marriage and relationship with your kids, it's like I just think it's just a good practice to make sure that you don't just leave all those things unsaid because.
Well, you can't
it's to your best of your ability, right?
Yeah.
Because
do you think that family thought like I wonder now, like what happened before the parade with that family and that kid? Was there something unsaid? Was there something unsettled? Were they yelling at that kid to put his clothes on, get ready for the parade, and angry? And it like, did they shove him into the parade all pissy because somebody wasn't listening? Or was it a good, happy, fun experience? But that last moment they had with their kid before he got on the float and they walked away to go sit in the parade and watch him come by, that was the last time they got to talk to him.
Yeah,
the picture of him on the float that they probably have is the last photo they have of him. Dude, it hurts, man. I'm crying right now. Like that's what I think about. I'm like, fuck. Yeah. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Can you even like...
Nope.
That's the last time. That's why, like, fuck.
It's not often you get two grown men on a podcast talking about children crying, but it's real life. And just something to be mindful of. Just there's so... It seems like everywhere you turn, there's so much bad and evil, but there's a lot of good out there, and you got to look for it. Because if you want to continue to look for the bad things, that's all you're going to find. So you're frustrated about your kid, you're frustrated about your wife, you're frustrated about work. Like you got to take a step back and just realize that when you start to put your problems out on a table,
your shit don't matter.
Your stuff is not as bad as most. Mm-hmm. And you could be going through some deep, heavy shit.
Well,
and it still not be as bad as someone else.
There's problems and there's inconveniences, right? From Dakota.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Most of what we deal with is an inconvenience and not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to be reminded of it. I mean, if that's one positive that can come away from this poor child's life ending so early in such a tragic way, could be that some people listening, even for you and me, as we approach our life with our family, is don't take it for granted. Just try to enjoy the moments. Try to doesn't mean you just need to give them candy and cake and let them walk all over you, but you just as it relates to your marriage or your friends, your family, just everything you say and do has a lasting impression. And so if the last thing you say to someone is angry or mean or, unkind, like that could be the last thing you ever say to someone.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just try to, I guess, keep that in mind as you go about your life, and just try to make sure that, perspective of everything is huge, and
just be kind.
The more just be kind,
straight
respectful, have empathy for people. You don't know what they're going through.
Uh-huh.
If they cut you off in the coffee line or something, you know what I mean? They just might not have seen you. You don't have to come out the rip just being an ass.
Yeah. I don't want to leave this on a sad note. You want to try to FaceTime Wife Spot?
What time is it there?
It's 10:30 here. That means it's like 8:30 there.
Is it 8:30 or 7:30? Is it 3 hours behind? Or
2 hours.
It's 2 hours behind.
Yeah.
I always get messed up because I think last time we were at Vegas, I was like, "Oh, it's 2 hours behind." I called the wife, and she's like, "You do know it's like 11." I'm like, "Damn it!" Yeah. I thought it was 9.
Let's see if I want to FaceTime Wife Spot, you guys, and tell her Alex is having a 4th kid.
Well, it's because I completely bailed on the podcast with her, and she's like, "What?
That's
like
right.
You'll stick around for my husband, but you won't stick around for me?" And I hadn't explained why. So hopefully
I'll turn this around, Trev, so that they can see if she answers.
She's probably wondering, like, what is this cat?
She's like probably in the bathroom.
Like,
maybe she'll FaceTime me back.
That, or she's probably doing some parenting right now.
Yeah.
It's like, excuse me, I couldn't be interrupted. My Littles was having to go outside to use the restroom in the snow.
No answer. I'll make sure to stay near a camera. If she calls me back, I'm going to film it and we're going to put it out on a separate video. But anyways, yeah, again, I didn't want to leave this thing on a negative note, but that was some real shit, man. Like that's
Well, it's not
true.
negative. It's just
sad.
For those listening.
It's real. And I hope you guys find super valuable. Like those are real emotions. And when you become a parent, you get soft to stuff like that. Like Travis, who doesn't have kids, probably doesn't think about it the same way I think about it or Alex thinks about it. But when you become a parent, you have your own children and those types of things happen. And those are the thoughts that run through your head. Like it's real. It's real crazy. Anyways, got anything else to say? Nothing?
Go, if you got kids, go give them a hug and a kiss.
That's it.
If you got a spouse or a significant other, give them a hug and a kiss. And put some kindness out in the world. We need it.
Oh, show. Yeah. Like, subscribe, comment, do all the things. We would appreciate it. See you guys in the next episode. Peace.